A new bombshell report just published suggests that LA's most destructive fire may have been prevented if officials had simply listened to fire crews on the ground. A reminder what we're talking about here. The Palisades fire last January killed 12 people. It burned nearly 7,000 structures and caused tens of billions of dollars in damages. Federal prosecutors believe the massive fire that grew on January 7th was actually caused by a smaller fire from January 1st that crews thought was out, so they left the scene. Well, check out this headline in the LA Times. Days before the Palisades inferno, firefighters were ordered to leave smoldering burn site. The report suggests that firefighters sounded the alarm about leaving, but they were not listened to. Joining us now is Paul Pringle, the Pulitzer Prize-winning investigative journalist who co-authored this piece for the LA Times. Paul, first off, thank you for this important work. Welcome to The Story Is. Can you sort of break down the main thing that you found here?
Yes, what we found is that the firefighters on the ground of the January 1 fire the next day were ordered to pack up their hoses and leave by their battalion chief, even though they said the ground is still smoldering in places, rocks are hot to the touch, their tree stumps are smoking or are also hot to the touch. And that's what they did. They did as they were ordered. They left the scene. And as the federal investigation determined later, and that people had suspected for months, when the winds arrived on January 7, it picked up those embers that were left behind on January 2nd and caused the Palisades fire.
So why were they ordered to leave? Why did nobody listen to them?
We don't know because the people we've reached out to with that question have not responded to us. I don't have a good answer for that. Everyone we've spoke to said they should not have left, should not have been ordered to leave. And, that's to stay there longer and to watch that burn scar and to keep your hoses out, that's routine, routine practice. It's done all the time. In this case, it wasn't done. Even though we're starting to get those really scary wind warnings. They started arriving, I think, right around the 2nd, certainly by the 3rd and 4th. We were expecting very high winds.
And on the 7th, there was hardly any firefighters in the Palisades.
That's right. We reported that. That was part of our investigation. That despite these I think the wind warnings were unprecedented in their seriousness. For the first time, the National Weather Service used the phrase life-threatening. And Palisades was always one of the most dangerous areas for that kind of weather. And despite all that, there was no pre-deployment of extra people or equipment to the Palisades and other areas that were considered highly dangerous. And, we just have not received a good explanation for that.
So you reached out to the fire department for an official comment. They haven't given you one. We reached out to the fire department for an official comment. We have not gotten one back from them. We do have LA Mayor Karen Bass coming on with us tomorrow, which was previously scheduled before your story came out. And we're interested to hear what she has to say about all this. But based off of your reporting, essentially, if they took this more seriously, if the firefighters didn't leave that area, it seems very possible that this Palisades fire may have been either prevented or stopped much, much, much sooner, right?
Well, that's what the experts tell us, the people who fight these fires and have fought them for decades. That's the whole point of staying there, that if there is a hidden ember, you knock it down before the winds arrive. It also gets back to the pre-deployment. That's why you pre-deploy a lot of extra firefighters and engines and other equipment, knowing those winds are coming, because in these kinds of fires, because of the winds, because of climate change, you got to get them when they're small. And all fires basically start very small.
Paul Pringle doing excellent work at the LA Times, latimes.com. Subscribers can read his work right there. And obviously, this is going to be a big, big thing as part of the Southern California conversation for some time. Paul Pringle, thanks so much for your reporting.
Thank you for having me.
Rick Caruso is a businessman and philanthropist. He ran against Karen Bass for mayor of Los Angeles last time around. He may do so again. He joins us live right now. Rick, welcome to The Story Is for the first time.
Hey, thank you, Alex. Congratulations on your new show. It's terrific.
Thank you very much. Your reaction to this new reporting from the LA Times?
Well, first of all, I want to give a shout out to the LA Times. I mean, it's great investigative reporting. Paul's a great journalist. And this is why we need independent press, is to hold people in power accountable. So, but it's a devastating story because, as you reported and Paul just talked about, we now know very clearly, based on these text messages, that the fire could have been prevented had there been the right leadership involved. And certainly the LA Times is clear on putting into question the leadership at the fire department, at City Hall, at Mayor Bass. And I think for everybody who was impacted by this fires, it's really tough to read this article.
What does accountability look like to you? Because you previously criticized Mayor Bass when she demoted the fire chief. Do you now think about that differently?
No, because demoted the fire chief before there are any facts come out. We're almost a year into this now. There's been an after action report, and now there's this reporting going on. The after action report also laid out all the failures. It's been crickets, Alex. The mayor hasn't made a statement on it about the after action report. I don't know of any statement that was made after this article came out in the LA Times today. So I think everybody should be held accountable in some form or fashion that failed in their leadership role. But I don't think that you should be firing somebody just to deflect attention. And I think that's what clearly she did at the time. I think what's more important right now is we need to have an independent commission. It reminds me back in the days, Alex, where after the Rodney King, the terrible beating, we had the Warren Commission with Christopher Warren, an independent commission that takes all of this information. We all need to know exactly what happened before the fire, during the fire, and after the fire. And then we need to make sure we have solutions to all of these problems so we make sure it never happens again. I mean, the fire department, which I called out years ago, has been underfunded for years. They didn't have enough equipment. We didn't have the water because the reservoir was empty. We wouldn't have worried about any of that had they pre-deployed and if they would have stayed there. But we need to know everything that happened, and we need to make sure we fix it so it doesn't happen again, because too many lives were destroyed over very, very bad mistakes and a lot of incompetency at a lot of different levels in the city. I don't know of another disaster that was so easily preventable that had so much damage attached to it in this country. Maybe there is, but I can't think of anything.
You know, there are a lot of people watching this that are going to wonder about your future. You have said that you're considering running for mayor and running for governor, that you will make your decision when you make it. But there are some people that are thinking about a third option, which is to run for the CEO of LA County, a job that's in place in 2 years, a brand new job. Does that sound appealing to you?
No, it doesn't. I think it's an important job. It's a critically important job, but it's not the job that I'm thinking about. So, I focus my attention, and we have a team focused on the governor's race that we're looking at seriously, and the mayor's race looking at seriously. And I'm getting close to a decision. Things like this actually motivate me even more because I think I could bring some leadership to bear that we need in the city or we need in the state, and make sure that we don't have these kind of things happening again. And it's an honor to serve. And so how lucky would I be if I have the opportunity to do that?
Well, there's a new West Coast-based show that would love to hear your decision first, so I hope you'll consider us. Rick Caruso, thanks so much for joining us tonight. We appreciate it.